2. A French Lesson. When Sarah entered the schoolroom the next morning, everybody looked at her with wide, interested eyes. By that time every pupil, from Lavinia Herbert, who was nearly 13 and felt quite grown up, to Lottie Lay, who was only just 4, had heard a great deal about her. They knew that she was Miss Minchin's show pupil. One or two of them had even seen her French maid, Mariette, who had arrived the evening before. Lavinia had managed to pass Sarah's room when the door was open, and had seen Mariette opening a box, which had arrived late from some ship. "It was full of petticoats," she whispered to her friend Jessie. "My mamma says that children should be dressed simply. She has got one of those petticoats on now. I saw it when she sat down." "She has silk stockings on," whispered Jessie. "And what little feet! I never saw such little feet." "Oh," sniffed Lavinia, "that is the way her shoes are made. I don't think she is pretty at all. Her eyes are such a strange color." "She isn't pretty as other pretty people are," said Jessie, stealing a glance at Sarah. "But she makes you want to look at her again. She has tremendously long eyelashes, but her eyes are almost green." Sarah was sitting quietly in her seat, waiting to be told what to do. She was interested, and looked back quietly at the children, who looked at her. She wondered what they were thinking of, and if they liked Miss Minchin, and if they cared for their lessons, and if any of them had a papa at all, like her own. Miss Minchin rapped upon her desk. "Young ladies," she said, "I wish to introduce you to your new companion." All the little girls rose in their places, and Sarah rose also. "I shall expect you all to be very agreeable to Miss Crewe. She has just come to us from India." "Sarah," said Miss Minchin in her schoolroom manner, "come here to me." She had taken a book from the desk and was turning over its leaves. Sarah went to her politely. "As your papa has taken a French maid for you," she began, "I conclude that he wishes you to make a special study of the French language." Sarah felt a little awkward. "I think he took her," she said, "because he thought I would like her, Miss Minchin." "I am afraid," said Miss Minchin with a sour smile, "that you have been a very spoiled little girl, and always imagine that things are done because you like them. My impression is that your papa wished you to learn French." Miss Minchin was a very severe person, and she seemed so absolutely sure that Sarah knew nothing of French that she felt as if it would be almost rude to correct her. The truth was that Sarah's mother had been a Frenchwoman, and Captain Crewe had loved her language, so it happened that Sarah had always heard and been familiar with it. I have never really learned French, but she began, trying to make herself clear. "That is enough," said Miss Minchin. "If you have not learned, you must begin at once. The French master, Monsieur Dufarge, will be here in a few minutes. Take this book and look at it until he arrives." Monsieur Dufarge arrived very shortly afterward. He was a very nice, intelligent, middle-aged Frenchman, and he looked interested when his eyes fell upon Sarah, trying politely to seem absorbed in her little book of phrases. "Is this a new pupil for me, madame?" he said to Miss Minchin. "I hope that is my good fortune." "Her papa, Captain Crewe, is very anxious that she should begin the language, but I am afraid she has a childish prejudice against it. She does not seem to wish to learn," said Miss Minchin. "I am sorry of that, mademoiselle," he said kindly to Sarah. "Perhaps when we begin to study together, I may show you that it is a charming language." Little Sarah rose in her seat. She looked up into Monsieur Dufarge's face with her big green-gray eyes. She knew that he would understand as soon as she spoke. She began to explain quite simply in pretty and fluent French. Madame had not understood. She had not learned French exactly, not out of books, but her papa and other people had always spoken it to her, and she had read it and written it, as she had read and written English. Her papa loved it, and she loved it because he did. Her dear mamma, who had died when she was born, had been French. She would be glad to learn anything Monsieur would teach her, but what she had tried to explain to Madame was that she already knew the words in this book. When she began to speak, Miss Minchin started quite violently and sat looking at her over her eyeglasses, almost indignantly, until she had finished. Monsieur Dufarge began to smile, and his smile was one of great pleasure. When she had finished, he took the phrase-book from her, but he spoke to Miss Minchin. "Ah, Madame," he said, "there's not much I can teach her. She has not learned French. She is French." "You did not tell me," exclaimed Miss Minchin, turning on Sarah. I tried," said Sarah. I suppose I did not begin right." Miss Minchin knew she had tried, and that it had not been her fault that she was not allowed to explain. And when she saw that the pupils had been listening, and that Lavinia and Jessie were giggling behind their French grammars, she felt angry. "Silence, young ladies," she said severely, rapping upon the desk. "Silence at once!" And she began from that minute to feel a grudge against her new pupil.